At daybreak in the Amazon, sunlight slips between leaves, waking a forest floor that only pretends to be calm. One faint rustle, a falling twig, and the illusion shatters. Something beneath the litter begins to stir. Down in the shadows, a force feared even by larger predators prepares to surge across the forest floor. They carry no venom and wield no claws, yet their collective precision outmatches many creatures with deadly weapons. These are army and roving hunters whose discipline and unity turn thousands of tiny bodies into one relentless machine. Unlike other ant species, they build no permanent home. The forest itself becomes their shifting territory and temporary refuge. Their numbers swell into living rivers, flowing through the undergrowth with direction, urgency, and astonishing coordination. Anything too slow to escape their approach, larvae, spiders, small reptiles, overwhelmed in seconds by synchronized jaws. Each soldier ant locks onto its target, anchoring the prey while others pile forward to dismantle it, piece by piece. What appears chaotic is actually instinctive order, a network of signals guiding millions to move as one organism. A single scout ant breaks formation, weaving through shadows, to search for the next vulnerable pocket of life. Once it finds a target, the scout releases a faint chemical trail, an invisible road only its colony can read. Within moments, waves of workers surge forward, their pace accelerating as they lock onto the scout's chemical message. If the prey is small, only a few are needed. If larger, thousands join the coordinated assault. Their mandibles clamp down with relentless force, each bite anchoring the prey, while more soldiers reinforce the attack. Even when an ant is injured or torn, it continues biting, its grip surviving longer than the body sustaining it. When dusk falls, the swarm halts its march and begins constructing a shelter unlike anything in the insect world. Workers link legs, mandibles, and bodies, weaving themselves into a flexible living fortress that expands and contracts like breathing. Deep inside the living chamber, the queen rests, surrounded by larvae, and tended constantly by dedicated nurse workers. The bivouac pulses gently through the night, a living heart of countless bodies preparing for another day of conquest. With sunrise, the living fortress unravels as workers detach, forming fresh columns, ready to resume their march. Larvae are carried gently between mandibles, protected at the center of the moving swarm, like treasure in motion. Every ant follows the next with mechanical certainty, creating a living conveyor belt cutting through the undergrowth. Messages race through the ranks as antennae tap rapidly, sharing signals that keep millions perfectly synchronized. The swarm enters a shaded corridor where prey is plentiful, and their pace quickens as hunting instincts sharpen. A large spider attempts escape, but soldiers intercept, forming a tightening ring that seals off every direction. They strike from all angles, anchoring legs, jaws, and abdomen, collapsing the spider's defenses in a matter of seconds. The fallen prey is dismantled efficiently, each piece carried away to feed the colony's ever-growing brood. As the swarm pushes outward, terrified insects abandon hiding places, fleeing the unstoppable wave sweeping through the leaf litter. To outsiders, this movement seems chaotic, yet every step follows an ancient blueprint etched into their instinct. Moist morning air intensifies the scent trails, allowing the swarm to expand its hunting routes with remarkable confidence. Workers navigate tight tunnels beneath twisted roots, exploring hidden pockets where soft-bodied prey often gather unnoticed. A juvenile lizard freezes, relying on camouflage, but army ants detect its scent long before it reveals movement. Soldiers rush in, biting down on scales and limbs, pinning the creature before it can launch a proper escape. More workers flood the scene, forming living barricades to block any final attempt the lizard might make. Piece by piece, the swarm dismantles the body, reducing what once fled predators into nourishment for their own brood. After every successful hunt, the swarm reorganizes instantly, shifting direction as if responding to a silent command. Some workers scout ahead, climbing broad leaves to survey movement from above, watching for opportunities or threats. Despite their size, their presence alters the forest creature's retreat. Birds grow alert, and even predators avoid their advance. Every hour their living tide grows, fueled by endless motion and instinctive coordination that never significantly slows. As humidity rises, more prey emerges from hiding, unknowingly placing themselves directly in the swarm's advancing path. A centipede boats across the leaf litter, but the ants intercept swiftly, splitting into flanking lines to box it in. Soldiers clamp onto its armored segments, each bite anchoring it tighter until the creature's frantic, writhing finally slows. More ants arrive, securing each segment, ensuring the centipede's powerful jaws never reach their vulnerable workers. Once immobilized, the swarm rapidly dismantles the centipede, each fragment carried into separate organized lanes. With the hunt complete, the swarm shifts again, their movement flowing effortlessly like a dark current over tangled roots. The colony's youngest larvae rely entirely on these constant victories, receiving freshly processed nutrients every few hours. Inside the living shelter, nurse workers rearrange larvae, keeping them warm, clean, and shielded from the outside chaos. At the center, the queen's swollen abdomen pulses steadily, fueling the colony's expansion with a constant flow of eggs. Beyond the bivouac, the marching lines stretch endlessly forward, carving temporary highways through a world far larger than themselves. The swarm pushes into thicker vegetation, its formation splitting naturally to navigate vines, fallen trunks, and narrow soil gaps. A hidden cockroach scrambles away, but soldiers accelerate instantly, matching every turn with flawless directional coordination. They latch onto its legs, dragging it down as more workers lock onto antennae, wings, and exposed joints. Within seconds, the cockroach's frantic thrashing fades, replaced by the efficient harvesting rhythm of countless worker ants. The forest floor becomes a mosaic of motion as food pieces are distributed along multiple converging trails. Humidity intensifies, soaking the soil and slowing other insects. But army ants exploit the conditions with tireless mobility. Larger soldiers patrol the edges, their oversized jaws ready to intercept threats before they reach the brood. Workers dive into hollow spaces beneath decaying logs, flushing out hidden insects that quickly become the swarm's next targets. A tiny frog leaps away desperately, narrowly escaping as the frontline ants surge behind in relentless pursuit. Even when prey escapes, the swarm never slows. Their momentum thrives on movement, not on any single victory. As daylight strengthens, the swarm widens its perimeter, exploring shaded pockets where vulnerable prey often gathers. Beneath a loosened bark panel, a cluster of soft larvae trembles as the first soldiers break through. Workers surge inward, lifting larvae gently yet firmly, carrying them away with practiced efficiency and deliberate coordination. Each captured larva becomes nourishment for the colony, a vital resource fueling young ants waiting deep within the bivouac. Soon, the swarm encounters fresh obstacles, dense roots and fallen branches that reshape their marching routes. Rather than slow down, the ants split into multiple lanes, weaving seamlessly around the uneven terrain. Some workers stop briefly to reinforce the trails, clearing debris to keep the convoy flowing smoothly forward. Predators sense the danger and retreat. Even venomous species avoid confronting a swarm driven by pure instinct. The advancing swarm absorbs every opportunity, transforming quiet forest patches into bustling zones of movement and strategy. Moist leaves dampen sound, yet the swarm's presence vibrates through the forest floor like a silent, living storm. A thin veil of fog rolls in, softening light but sharpening the ants' reliance on chemical communication. Under broad fern leaves, scouts detect faint vibrations indicating hidden prey concealed within the moist soil. Soldiers rush forward, digging rapidly and exposing a burrow of soft-bodied insects, attempting to retreat deeper underground. The swarm collapses the burrow instantly, overwhelming the cluster before any individual can break free. Workers divide the captured prey, distributing them across multiple transport lines to maintain balanced movement flow. Some ants pause to groom one another, clearing dirt from joints to keep the marching pace efficient and smooth. Ahead, sunlight cuts through the canopy, illuminating the swarm's expanding frontier as they push into new territory. Creatures hiding in the bright patch freeze instinctively, sensing that the unstoppable wave approaches with relentless determination. The soldiers disperse slightly, forming wide sweeping arcs designed to flush prey into the colony's main route. Every coordinated movement reveals a deeper truth. The swarm functions as a single organism, thriving through unity alone. The swarm enters a darker corridor, where thick humidity muffles sound, creating an eerie silence beneath the canopy. Here, soldiers tighten formation, anticipating hidden predators that lurk within the dense tangle of forest debris. A venomous forest spider emerges defensively, raising its legs, but the ants respond with disciplined precision, not fear. They attack from multiple sides, gripping limbs and mouthparts, preventing the spider from delivering a single counterbite. Overwhelmed, the spider collapses, quickly reduced into pieces that workers carry away without hesitation. With another threat neutralized, The swarm stretches outward, their trails bright with pheromone signals, guiding continuous movement. Every pathway pulses with activity, workers flowing like currents as soldiers guard the fragile center carrying larvae. Even shifting winds cannot confuse them. Chemical communication anchors their direction with remarkable consistency. They descend into a narrow natural trench, transforming tight spaces into efficient passageways for thousands of moving bodies. Ahead lies a brighter clearing, a new hunting ground where their relentless march will once again reshape the forest. The clearing reveals abundant movement, a rich hunting zone where countless insects navigate exposed ground with growing unease. Army ants accelerate, splitting into sweeping arcs designed to flush every creature toward the colony's advancing front. A large beetle resists fiercely, but coordinated soldiers immobilize its legs and mandibles with unwavering precision. A second wave arrives, reinforcing the attack and ensuring the beetle's armored defenses cannot withstand the swarm's persistence. Reduced at last, the beetle becomes another source of nourishment, fueling the colony's expanding population. Freshly fed and energized, the swarm's speed increases, their formation stretching like a dark ribbon across the terrain. Under a rotting trunk, scouts locate hidden eggs and larvae, a treasure trove the swarm quickly moves to harvest. As more prey falls, the colony grows stronger, transforming each victory into momentum for the next relentless advance. Behind them, silence returns, an empty trail of disturbed soil marking the path of an unstoppable predator. Day after day, the army ants push forward, their living river reshaping the Amazon in a ceaseless march for survival.